Hi, this is Chris Gould, and this Show Me video is about using Snapseed and the brush tool.
Brush. So everything I've done so far, have you noticed that it has affected the whole picture? What if there's just a piece of the picture? So this was a picture of an absolutely delicious lunch in New Zealand, actually. Now, first of all, I'd like this cropped. Well, I can do that right in Google Photos, and I'm just so comfortable with doing these things in Google Photos. I'm going to tap the Edit menu. This is in Google Photos, and the crop and rotate, and just crop that over there, and done, and save. So you can do the edits that you are comfortable with in Google Photos, and then you can go to Snapseed for more. So the thing is, in this photo, the outside, the water out there is really overexposed. It's too bright, but I don't want to change the food. The food is properly exposed, but I think it could be brighter. So Tools, and this time we're choosing Brush. Brush means it will only affect where you rub on the picture, not the whole picture. And for the salad, I want saturation. Notice we have 4 choices of what we can brush onto this picture: saturation, temperature, exposure, and dodge and burn. Saturation means color. More saturated, more color. So I put it on saturation, and notice it says +10. Now you can change that, but I think I can probably use as much saturation as possible, and then I just rub my finger on the salad. You should notice that the tomatoes get redder and the greens get greener. Pretty. Now, that's not what I want for outside the window. For outside the window, I want exposure. And it's overexposed. I want to bring it down. So notice it's currently set to increase the exposure. No, I want to decrease the exposure. And if you're not sure which, no problem. You can just rub a little bit and see if it does what you want, and then switch it if it's not. I think I'm going to go with just 3 and just rub. And can you see what it's doing? Maybe I'll go a little bit more just so it's really clear what it's doing. Yeah, it's just changing the exposure so you can see the water outside. What do you think? All right, and if that's all I want to do with it, I tap, oh, one other little thing here. Notice this little eyeball that says mask. That just will put red telling me where I have rubbed on this picture. So if I see that I kind of overdid it a little bit there, I could go and put this to eraser and then rub very carefully in there so that I erase. So the mask just shows you where you've rubbed. You can turn it on or off. If you like it, you check mark, export, and save. And next picture. Now this one is really obvious at how much in the shadows Jim is, even though the background is perfectly exposed. Let's see if I can fix this. I'll open in Snapseed. And first I'm going to try just increasing the light in the shadows. Remember that one? It's under Tune Image. Now well, HDR would certainly do something to this picture, but just to give me more light in the shadows, I'm using Tune Image, and I'm going to Shadows. And I'm going to rub to the right, and you see that Jim does come into view, but still not enough, and I've gone all the way over there. So I'm going to check on that, and then I'm going to go to Tools and use Brush, because I don't need the light in the shadows anywhere else on this picture except for Jim. So Brush, and this is an exposure issue. Dodge and burn is basically the same thing as exposure. Dodge and burn means lighten or darken. So does exposure, and I can hardly see. I can't see any difference between the two of them. Exposure makes more sense to me, so, and it needs to be decreased, right? And if I'm wrong, nope, I'm wrong. So decrease means make it darker. So I need to erase that. I need to erase what I just did and then make it lighter. Oh, and maybe I did a bit too much there. So I'm going to go back to erase again. Okay. And how about 0.7? And so that I don't go outside my boundaries, I'm going to zoom in, 2 fingers on the screen and zoom in. And now I can just rub on his face and lighten him up, and his shirt. And now 2 fingers to move the whole photo around. All right, so now we can see Jim more properly exposed without having washed out the background. Check mark, export, and save. And notice, so my original is still there. And all the ones I've saved are also there. I'll show you them at the end. Now this one, I think this boat flower pot is really cool, but I don't like this background. So I could just lower the exposure and keep rubbing that background until it darkened. And I'm still on the brush tool. Brush and exposure and decrease, and then just start rubbing the background. Now that's as dark as it will get, and that's not good enough. But what you can do is accept that and go back and do it again. So you can do the brush. You got to make sure to set it to what you want. You can do the brush over again and keep doing it over and over until you get it completely blacked out. Even that is kind of nice. It just makes the background kind of go away.